People really don't like to talk about this, and for good reason, but most podcasts are failing right now. And it's not necessarily that they're bad shows or bad concepts for shows, it's that they're being structured like it's still 2017. Let me show you the new format that top podcasters and entrepreneurs are using to not only turn listeners into loyal listeners, but to get them to listen to the whole episode and become leads and buyers, and how you can switch to it in your next episode. I actually just got back from teaching this at the Social Media Marketing World Conference in San Diego, and the biggest piece of feedback I got was, wow, I didn't realize it could be this simple. Now, the structure I'm going to show you has 5 parts that we call modules, because that's what we called them when I worked in radio, and therefore we call this module-based approach to podcasting Modcasting. And after I show you all 5, I'll show you how all 5 of them work together so you can apply this to your very next episode. And I want you to know this isn't some framework ChatGPT generated for me this morning. This is based on my 15 plus years as a professional radio personality or presenter, my YouTube channel, which I'm grateful has grown to over 150,000 subscribers, and what I learned as a host of 3 different podcasts that I'm fortunate enough reach over 700,000 people per year. So let's jump in, starting with the first module of the Modcast blueprint called the confirmation module. A lot of podcasters lose their audience in the first 30 seconds because, unlike once upon a time, we are now much more discretionary about what we're willing to listen to or watch. Call it the TikTokification of society, but now when there's more content a tap or a swipe away, we've really got to be into something if we're going to listen to it, especially if it's a 10 to 20 to 60 minute piece of content. So how do we get them to actually stay for the whole episode? Well, it all starts with this confirmation module, which is designed to confirm they're in the right place. But more than that, we don't just want to throw out a hook or tell them what's coming up. We want to make them feel like, oh gosh, I need to listen to this right now. We want them, even if the show gets dull at some point in the middle, to keep on listening because they're so into the topic. And audiences are not always going to make that decision for themselves. Sometimes you can help them understand how that is. Now, I have a whole framework that we teach for this, and I'll tell you how you can learn more about this module-based approach to podcasting in just a second. But I just want you to see the overall idea of the confirmation module. Now, the confirmation module works really closely with another one of our modules, like they're best friends, and I'll show you that one here in just a second. But second in order of the Modcast blueprint is what we call the vibe check module. One of the mistakes we make as podcasters sometimes is we talk to our audience as though they've always been there. But I don't know about you, I want to build a show that's bringing in new audience members all the time. And so the vibe check module essentially helps them understand the show overall, or as we like to say, helps them check the vibe here. That's why we call it that. Also known to some people as a podcast intro, but it's a super quick thing that goes near the beginning of your episode just to welcome new people. Just for reference, mine for the Done by Lunch Entrepreneurs podcast is 9 seconds long. Do not make yours a minute long, or again, you're going to lose people. Which then leads right into our third module, the core content module. If someone decides to listen to your podcast episode, why are they doing it? I'll tell you, because of whatever the topic and title were for that episode. The core content is your opportunity to fulfill and hopefully exceed the expectations of the person who clicked on that topic or title. It also works really well. I told you they're best friends with the confirmation module because, again, the confirmation module gets them to lean in and want to listen closely to the core content, even if it gets a little dull sometimes. So we've got the confirmation module, the vibe check module, the core content module, and the next module is actually the most important for business owners because it solves a major problem. I can't tell you how often I've talked to a business owner with a podcast and people say they love the show, I get lots of downloads, but I get no leads and no sales. That's where this next module comes in, and we call it the conversion module because that's where we want to convert people. Now, this is a call to action like most podcasts have, but we go much deeper in terms of what we'll actually do for your episode. The biggest thing I like to tell people is don't treat it like a throwaway call to action, or your audience will treat it like a throwaway call to action. Slow down, say exactly what you want the person to do, and again, why it's important and how it ties back to whatever you just talked about. So we've got our conversion module, but aren't they just going to turn off the podcast as soon as they sniff a sales pitch of any kind? Yeah, some people do, unless you have our fifth module, which we call the TSL module. So when I worked in radio, we were rated on a couple of things, and one of them was how long was somebody listening every day? And that was called TSL, or time spent listening. Now, the TSL module does the same thing. It gets people to listen longer, but it does so much more than that, including grow your show and bring in new audience members. And I'll tell you why in a second. But what a TSL module is it's an additional piece of content that goes at the end of your episode that is tied back to whatever the main episode was about, right? So I would never do an episode about how to grow on YouTube and then come back at the end and say, hey, by the way, I want to talk to you about adopting a puppy. We always want to have it on the same topic because, again, that's why somebody listened in the first place. So what happens is we have this bonus piece of content at the end that gets people to listen to the whole episode, because if we slow down or go on a tangent in the middle and the quality of the show goes down, which again happens to all of us, they'll remember in their back of their head, hopefully, that, oh, this other thing's coming that I want to hear. The second thing that it does, because it comes right after the conversion module, is it gets them to actually listen to your call to action, because again, they're waiting for this bonus piece of content. And perhaps the most powerful thing that the TSL module does is it actually grows your show. I've got a visual that will show you how this all works together in just a second. But what happens is we pre-plan that extra piece of content that goes at the end of every episode, so we can easily pull it out and turn it into a short form video on LinkedIn or a TikTok or a Facebook or Instagram Reel or a YouTube Short. And those are the only types of formats across social media that actually reach new people for free. So the way this works together is every episode starts with your episode topic or title, which is right there at the top, right? That's why somebody decided to click play in the first place. That gets them to start listening to the confirmation module. Then the confirmation module gets them to listen more deeply and stick through the core content, the main value that they're getting in this episode. Then we have the TSL module, which gets them to listen to the conversion module, the thing you want them to do, as well as the whole episode. Plus that TSL module comes out as a short form video, and then it brings new people back to the entire episode. This Instagram Reel was originally a clip in my podcast. I pulled it out, put it on Instagram, it reached over 22,000 people. Guess what? I don't have 22,000 followers. And a bunch of those people went back to listen to the full episode, and some of them didn't even listen to the podcast. They just went and signed up to work with me. Now, if you're left with questions, feel free to ask in the comments. But if you want to learn this modcasting formula a little bit more deeply, I do teach it completely for free. Right now, go to thenewwaytopodcast.com and you'll see all of these pieces and how they work together to bring you new audience members, new leads, and new sales for your business using a podcast. Again, thenewwaytopodcast.com, and we'll link to it in the description of this video. All right, until then, we'll see you next time. Bye.